All right, folks, so Ontario has been going down and it's taking the entire Canada with it. So in Ontario now, we have the highest unemployment rate nearing 8%. And yet we are absorbing the biggest immigration wave ever. So how is this possible? If we're losing jobs, if the unemployment is rising, and yet we're welcoming more and more people to live here and to thrive. So something definitely doesn't make any sense. So let's get into the video and let's discuss it together. Well, listen, it's just simple. It just doesn't make any sense. Where are these people going to work? I'm all up for immigration and for our country to grow, for our manufacturing sector in Ontario, which is the biggest engine of Canada. It has been for a long time to grow, for people to buy cars, for people to buy homes, real estate, to trade, to thrive, to find their safe haven right here in Canada. However, at this point, it doesn't make any sense. And ask yourself, just for 1 second, these people that fly into our country today, where are they gonna work? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. We don't even know where we are going to work. People that speak somewhat English and that have some kind of a resume and Canadian experience in different variations and sectors, we have no clue. We are lost here, and yet more and more people are coming. So I would like to touch on a couple of points, starting with Ontario's role in Canada. 38% of Canada's population, which is 40% of GDP, historically the engine of Canada. Let's not forget that. When Ontario flatters, the country feels it very quickly. And it is true. I mean, like, we have everything here, from the automotive sector to the immigration sector to the growth expansions. We have the ability, we have the trades, we have, you name it, we have it, right? From real estate onwards to high-rise buildings and pre-construction condos. However, all of it failed, it seems like, or it's falling as we speak. So it just doesn't make any sense. Ontario is slowly dying, right? So the data snapshot, unemployment, 7.8%, highest in Canada. Think about that for a second. For a long time, we had smaller provinces like Nova Scotia, like Prince Edward Island. They were leading in these sectors, right? Because of lack of industrial revolutions and jobs and employment and stuff like that. So we would have your retirees and people just enjoying whatever it's left. And that is completely fine. But now Ontario is leading. That's mind-boggling. The biggest fire, the engine, the possibility, it's dying off and it's leading in unemployment. And you know where that's going, right? So immigration versus jobs. Record inflows of newcomers in Ontario, even as jobs shrink. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not like that if we have more people, all of a sudden we will generate magically something. Yes, maybe the hot dog stand around the corner will sell more hot dogs, and good for you. Stuff like that. Maybe a couple of barbers are gonna have more heads to cut. Fine, hairs to trim, no problem. I understand that. But as you're getting deeper into the picture, there's really no substance of sustaining the entire system, right? Sector breakdown, automotive industry, Windsor, we see it, we feel it. Oshawa, hit by just-in-time supply chain disruption and tariffs, and that's a big one. We are still dealing with the tariffs with United States. We are still trying to fulfill that empty, big hole that's extremely deep, right? So it's hard to fill that and subsidize it with something else, right? And I don't know if immigration is the way to go, because just by adding more people, you're just creating more unemployment that doesn't really serve anybody. Steel production, Hamilton, slowing down. Construction softening. And please talk to your construction people, your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, and you will hear exactly what I'm saying. You will hear that the automotive industry, the people are having a hard time. They're fighting for their jobs. Engineers, talk to people from Hamilton that work in Hamilton, and they say, well, it's on and off. And everybody has that fear of losing their job. And wherever there is uncertainty, what do you think? They will upgrade on their real estate portfolio, or they will try to buy a new car or something along those lines that grows our economy. No, we're shrinking. We are going the opposite direction altogether. Service sector wobbling as blue collar income disappears. And we know that every sector and every collar is extremely important. But when the blue collar, when that starts to shrink, that strong middle class, then you know that the divide is even bigger, right? Of the not haves and the haves. And at that point, yes, you're creating that, but you're not thriving. You are not creating the balance, right? So that's why I'm extremely worried about real estate. And I heard it so many times. Well, Canadian real estate market cannot fail. It's bulletproof. That's the only thing we have. That's the only thing we're proud of. Yes, I can agree with one thing. That's the only thing we might have. And it seems to be falling apart. That bucket has so many holes that is leaking water every single day. So real estate implications. More people doesn't automatically mean strong housing. When jobs confidence fails, buyers freeze, listings linger, and prices slide. Middle class, dual income families froze out of instability, not just pricing. And yes, as mentioned, even two people employed, two strong people with strong incomes being employed full time are struggling today. They're struggling in this market. And sometimes, yes, it's not only about the price, and it's not only about that quarter point interest rate cut that everybody is kind of yelling about, which is fine. At least we're heading in the right direction. But think about that. If people are living in fear and people are worried about their next paycheck, they're not going to take this lightly, even if there is that quarter point reduction with rates. But all of a sudden, everybody assumes, hey, look, we had a couple of reductions and we can summarize it and we're feathering it the right direction. And all of a sudden, magically, the real estate market is going to start to boom. And then we're calculating stuff that doesn't make sense on top of that. And that's immigration. Yeah, people are coming in all the time. Not everybody's coming in with loads of cash and millions of dollars, and they're going to deploy it in our market, and they're going to call all these real estate agents and mortgage brokers, and all of a sudden we're going to have a huge influx of people standing in line looking to buy your house. Not going to happen, right? Let me put it this way. If that was true, it would have happened already. Because the immigration was record high, the interest rates started to feather, right? Slowly, but they're going in the right direction, and still nothing happened. We still did not see that real estate boom. So why does this matter beyond Ontario? Well, Ontario's slowdown drags the national economy. Weak job base, rapid population growth, pressure on infrastructure and housing affordability. Policy blind spots as federal and provincial levels. So yes, policies and everything else, if we are the strongest driving engine and force in the country, if we are slowing down, guess what's happened to everybody else? And let's just assume that everybody else is there and there are transmission. Well, guess what? They have to change into a lower gear because we're slowing down. And if you are changing in the lower gear, that means the following things. One, you're revving your RPMs and your engine is screaming even though it's in a lower gear, but you're slowing down. And that's exactly the analogy what's happening right now. We're slowing down, the engine is slowing down, the gear has been shifted into lower, everybody is screaming, something is wrong or not wrong, or they're fearing, they're hoping. However, we are slowing down, bottom line. All right, so the big question, how did we get here? Well, it's a short, sweet, and a question that I personally don't know how to answer, to be honest with you. How we got there, I don't know, maybe policy, maybe greed, maybe unlocking the unlimited potential of death in our country, maybe opening up immigration, or it's all of the above, right? And we never thought that maybe other sources that we felt we were privileged, that they will say, hey, look, we're gonna have tariffs on you tomorrow, or you're not entitled to this. And, hats shifted. And we're stronger now, and we don't need you, right? And we're relying on other countries across the globe, and we feel we're privileged. Maybe we are, but maybe we're not, right? So I believe we have to focus and concentrate within the border, obviously, try to negotiate the best possible outcome for everyone outside our border, but we have to focus within our engine, what is going on. Because as soon as that engine starts speeding up, guess what? Everybody else is fine. The gearbox will shift into higher gear, like everything is working flawlessly, not a problem. But we have to fix that engine, right? Well, maybe it's time to change some oil. Well, so the question here is, can the engine start? That's a good question. I think it can start, but we have to slow it down. We have to diagnose this engine, and we have to see what's wrong with it. We have to rejig whatever we need to rejig, focus on ourselves, and start that engine and keep on driving. That's the whole point, right? Don't rely on somebody else's engine in a other vehicle and hoping your engine will last. It's a case-by-case scenario, right? What needs to change in policy and planning to make immigration and jobs align? Well, it's very, very simple in my eyes, right? What needs to happen? Look, if there's money, right, people will invest, right? Cheaper money. However, if you cannot provide the on-ramp, the people to see that highway, that engine thriving, right? Driving on the highway, guess what? Fear, scarcity, we talked about that. So nothing will happen. So you have to start, we have to start creating jobs. We have to start building that on-ramp for everybody. Medical field, like doctors, entrepreneurs, every engineers, they're leaving our country because there's nothing to do here. The brain is leaving. The management is leaving. Think about that for a second. We have a lot of people that can fill positions and spots and population growth, fine. But when brain leaves, when that operating chip computer that operates your engine, when it's plucked out, who cares? Everything else is just the components in your engine that do not work without the brains and a solid vision. So I hope you gained some value out of this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.